the NRC SDP era, the build-up to the Edo State first gubernatorial election, Mr. Lucky Benedion and Chief John Odige Oyegun were perceived to be running neck to neck, with Benedion having a slight edge. The atmosphere was so tense that nobody knew what was going to win or who is going to win the election. Mr. Lucky Benedion, who had done excellently well in his previous elected assignment as then Oredo local government chairman, was backed by his father's enormous wealth and endorsement from virtually who is who in politics in Edo State. Chief Odige Oyegun, on the other hand, was a retired super permanent secretary, and his major credential was an excellent public service and a Talakawa-like campaign style, but he was slightly trailing or perceived to be slightly trailing Mr. Lucky Benedion in the exit polls of who will be the elected first executive governor of the newly created Edo State. Some people actually felt otherwise, though, until boom. The late Oba Eredua was hosting an event in his palace, and both candidates were invited to address the people. In those days, there was nothing like gubernatorial debates. There was not even an effective television or radio system to promote such an event if one was organized. Campaigns were therefore more rigorous and more tasking, as aspirants were expected to visit virtually all nooks and crannies of the state. On that particular day, Mr. Lucky Benedion was first to arrive. He went straight to the Oba and exchanged pleasantries with the Oba with a slightly bowed head. He could not afford to prostrate to greet the Oba in his well-ironed suit. That was his undoing. Chief Oyegun arrived moments later, went straight to the Oba and went down flat in total submission to the supremacy of the Oba. The reaction of the people over the two events that just happened right before their eyes was immediate. A decision was made in favor of Chief Oyegun, and the exit polls of who was going to win the election shifted to his side till he, Oyegun, actually won. An average Edo man, especially the Benin man, does not play with the supremacy and authority of the Oba of Benin. He is so revered that when you simply say the Oba, every Edo man knows you are referring to the Oba of Benin. With the conduct of the two aspirants on that day, the perceived notion was that Mr. Lucky Benedion was not going to respect the Oba if elected, and he suffered a very painful defeat in the elections weeks later. Pastor Sage Iyamu was a prominent member of the Lucky Benedion campaign team then. Years later, the same Osage Iyamu has again extended that same disregard and outright disrespect to Oba Eware, who succeeded the throne of his late father. If he's a good student of history, he should by now know that his weak dreams of becoming governor of Edo State evaporated into thin air. The day his talks embarrassed the visitors of the Oba right in the palace of the Oba. The palace is ground, a revered ground. Everyone knew that Governor Baseki was flagging off his campaign that very day. Everyone knew that he must first visit the palace for royal blessings before going to the stadium to flag off his campaign. Yet, a certain billionaire who is Eze Iyamu's financier felt his visit to the palace had to be that day, and that particular time the governor was visiting the Oba. Who were they fooling? Truth be told, he only used his visits to use his APC talks, masquerading and supporters with the sole aim of embarrassing the Oba's visitors, obviously for political gains. A certain Mr. Emmanuel John Egogo, a well-known Eze Iyamu's bell bearer, told journalists on national TV, AIT, when he was interviewed on the palace ground, that they came to the palace with this same billionaire for the naming ceremony of his newly born. What he couldn't explain was why they suddenly turned violent on citing the governor's team. One thing that gladdened my heart, however, was that the stung backfired as they met a very solid response or resistance from the PDP. The Oba is known to be very apolitical at all times. He normally does not make political statements, and his palace is home to all. How the APC as a party and Iyamu as a candidate could afford to plot this desecration is known to them alone, but one thing is clear: there will be consequences as there was consequences. Okay, I am just shaking my legs, and this article is from Obiabeku Osayanetin. Okay, Obiabeku Osayanetin. Okay, so guys, that is what this gentleman has written concerning what has been happening, you know, the history and all of that. But the only thing I just want to take from this whole thing is that Iyamu APC, they are accusing Obaseki and PDP that because they were not well received, that was why they resorted to shooting and whatever. And some people are like, why would they want to disrupt their own gathering? And the question I even asked, because I'm just getting to get this information, the question I was asking, since it was a PDP, you know, who had their program for that day, they were supposed to have their program. So what was PDP doing there? Their supporters, I don't know, because they are saying the people in that area did not receive him. He was going to Oba Palace. He went to Oba Palace. So what was the APC people? What were they doing there? So we are getting to know that one of the APC financiers he went there to greet the Oba, as you know, he newly have a baby. He have a newborn baby. So those are the things we are hearing left, right, and center. PDP is accusing APC. APC is accusing PDP. So who is going to shed more light on what actually happened? Because immediately the fact or the group, Iyamu's group, they've released a lengthy talk. Oh, this and 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 that. Well, let us know who is at fault, and who is going to let us know who is at fault. It is the security people, if they are going to do the right thing for that day, because it was meant to be PDP's campaign, not APC. So what they were doing there is what I don't know. I even saw some of the videos too. You could see that some of them are just like, oh, calling Obaseki all manner of names, but they were not. It's like they were not really too eager. It's like they were afraid, or they were not even sure. Those ones we saw, some of the videos, you know, circulating on social media. Well, let them say to themselves. It is for them to be able to know what they will do at the end of the day. Of course, there's always a back and forth in all of this, their story. Everybody wants to say things that will favor them. Party A will say, oh, I'm the one who is right. Oh, this person is trying to intimidate me. The other one say, oh, this one is trying to intimidate me. That is what we are always hearing. But let them go that day and do the needful. Okay, my brother, you are right. You are truly a history man. APC can never in their life win Edo, my state. Like seriously, nobody knows it until that very day. It is not over until it is over. According to someone here, says that whatever relevance a single individual called Oba or his office assumes in an electoral process of one man, one vote equals the undeserved clout and influences naively given by the Edo electorate on progressive writers that have bad plan for Edo State. Anyone that wants to head an office by any means possible will never be and can never be a good leader. Iyamu is taking it personal and wants to be governor by any means. That is why we are suffering from Buhari, that took power by all means and cannot do anything different to make this country better than what he took. Edo people should learn from this example and stay away from APC. Okay. Another says here that I just hope Pastor Iyamu will have the courage to explain convincingly why the visit of his billionaire friend that led to the embarrassment to the palace. I wish him good luck. So guys, let us hear your opinion concerning what has been said.